Hi everybody, with the release of 1.15 on console and PC, PlayStation and Xbox server owners have now got a really easy way to spawn in buildings on their servers using the new file that we've now got access to, which is the CFG gameplay.json file, and you use that in conjunction with a separate JSON file. You can spawn in buildings, and then if you combine that with map group POS, map group proto, you can spawn loot easily into these buildings, and I'll link to those videos down below. However, one of the challenges on console is how do you get the coordinates for these files? Specifically, how do you get the altitude? How do you get the Y coordinate? So if, for example, if we look at this here we are. So this is on my PC experimental server, but this works exactly the same on console when 1.15 goes live, or by the time you watch this, 1.15 might be live. So as you can see, I've spawned in a custom military barracks, obviously where it shouldn't be, and I've spawned in a tent on top of the military barracks. I don't know, just to test this sort of things out. But the difficult thing is, if you haven't got access to a PC where you can run something like DayZ Editor, how do you get the X, Y and Z? X being, I think, horizontal, Z being vertical, up the map, sorry. So it'd be north, south, east, west, but how do you get altitude, which is the Y coordinate? The easiest way I've found to do it is by simply logging on or off your server. This way you don't have to worry about trying to place something or trying to damage something or getting someone to kick you in the head or do anything like that. If you simply just log off and log on, when you log on to your server log will give you the details you need. It will give you those details. So let's have a look and let me show you what I mean. So if you go to your server and then you go into the log files, using Nitrado as an example here. So if we go into the log files, you'll get this big log. And what I recommend you do is you download the log to your local computer. And then if you then open that up in something like Notepad++, and then do a search for preload, okay? Here we go. You'll get this player scale speeder entering preload, and then underneath that it'll say login. I guess you could search for login as well. Login, player scale speeder, preloading at, and there we have the magic figures X, Y, and Z. Specifically, the Y value there as well. Now we have got the yaw value, so the yaw is rotation. So you could muck around with that as well. You know, turn around and it'll spawn you back in, but specifically altitude is the thing we want. And what I have found is, if you use that altitude in the majority of situations, that will match exactly the base of the building that you want to log on. So in this case, I logged in, I spawned in this building here. As you can see, it's lined up exactly with the ground. Maybe I shouldn't have kind of put it exactly where it is, because it's spawned in over the top of this spawned in over yes, it's not a great floor, is it? And as you can see here, because the ground is slightly angled, we've got dirt in the corner and then we get cement over there. But then what I did was I climbed up onto the roof here, and then I logged in and out, or out and in, as I was standing on the roof, so I could get the altitude for this tent. And you can see that has spawned in at the correct height I wanted to. Now if we go back and look at the spawner JSON I'm using, you'll notice, so land military tent big one at the X, Y and Z coordinates there. Now your pitch and roll, so your is rotation as you would think about it, sort of as you spin around. Pitch backwards and forwards, I think, and then role would be, again, on the other axis. The one you'd be playing around with would be yaw. So if you wanted to change the angle of the building, you would be changing that to, like, 25, 90, that sort of thing there, to spin the building round. Now, the other cool thing about doing it this way is that one of the things you may want to do on a console server is you may well want other players to help you place items, because on console it's very difficult. There's no admin tools where you can spawn in somewhere and then spawn in somewhere else. You physically either got to kill yourself and then adjust the spawn files and then log in somewhere else, but then you haven't got any kit, or you've got to run there, or you've got a vehicle and go there that way. But what you can do is, because you're using it this way with the login or the preload search of the log file, what you can do is you can get other players to go, look, can you go over to the northeast airfield, and can you log in and log off in where we want to put a air traffic control tower. So you log in and log off there and give me the time that you did it, so you know which log to look at. And then you could just open up the log file, look for their username, and see where they logged in and logged off. And then you could easily then spawn stuff in. So you could have a whole team of helpers on your server, on your console server, running around, logging in and logging off, giving you the time that they do it at, and then it would be much easier to note stuff. Now, the final thing you may want to mess around with is the settings for your logs. If you're finding you're not getting this data because the logs aren't including it, just make sure you go down and don't have where are we going here? There we go. Don't have reduce log output ticked, and make sure you have placement and player list ticked. And that way I find you do get that data about the players logging in and logging off. And the reason why you use log in and log off as well is it's a specific thing that you're doing. If you're just going off the player placement, it just sort of takes it every 5 minutes, and it might be the wrong place where it takes it. So there we go. So that's my hint and tip. If you want to know the X, Y, and Z coordinates so you can place items with the 115 updates that's coming to DayZ on console, use the logging in process and look in your server logs, for which are kind of there under log files. Look in your server logs for the record of someone logging in, and that will then give you the X, Y, and Z. Right, hopefully that's been useful. It has been. Hit like if you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and we'll of course see you again soon.